This episode is brought to you by Generate Solutions, your go-to AI experts specializing in empowering commercial real estate companies and environmental consulting firms. As AI is quickly transforming industries and enhancing efficiency, it is important you don't let your business fall behind. At Generate Solutions, we streamline workflows and automate tasks by creating custom AI agents tailored specifically to your business needs. Interested in taking your operations to the next level with AI? Email mfiorante@generatesolutions.com or find us directly on LinkedIn by clicking the link in the bio. On to our episode.
Welcome to another edition of A Conversation with John Conenna. Tonight, it brings me a great pleasure because this is something that I always wanted to do, and now I do it on this kind of a format. But I do love what this person does. And of course, I've done a few of these in this great city of Chicago. My guest tonight is a multi-Emmy award-winning journalist serving as the lead reporter and anchor at WMEQ-TV NBC Chicago. She's a native of Buffalo, New York. She joined NBC in 2001 when she was maybe 5 years old. We'll go that route.
That's how, yeah.
She's best known for her groundbreaking news and hard investigating reports. It brings me great pleasure tonight to bring in Natalie Martinez. And Natalie, thank you for coming on. And what is going on with you, young lady? And tell me something good here.
You know, I just got off the set, just had my last afternoon newscast of the day here at NBC5. I know it's on Blur, but I'm in the beautiful new space that we just opened within the past year, at the beginning of the year, and it's a whole mood set when you're here. I just got off the 6 o'clock set, and tell me something good was your comment. So I think the best thing that I can tell you for everybody to enjoy is that it's going to be a fabulous Saturday. It is now Friday night. We've got one more show to go, and it looks like a great, at least first half of the weekend. How about you, John?
For sure. No, exactly. It's just that, Natalie, as you know, those weekends go by so fast, Yeah. Before you know it, I'm watching you again at 10, and then before you know it, my eyes are burning and I'm going back to sleep.
We were just talking on the set about how they go so fast, and if you have one day off, then it's like laundry and doing all the things, and then you're like, oh, I got to get ready for Monday. So yeah, but in this business, and as you also kind of I'm sure, sometimes your weekends are Wednesday, Thursday, sometimes they're Monday, Tuesday. So you make the most of it, right? Especially in a city like Chicago where
exactly
do anything any day.
We seem like we're always running. I got to ask you, How does the passion for this start for you, Natalie Martinez? How does it start, this journalism, this passion, because you do it so well?
Thank you. I appreciate that, first of all, and thanks for having me on. How did the passion start? This is so funny. It's so unconventional, but I had no intention until about my sophomore year in college to be a journalist. I didn't really think that was my path. Now here I am about 30 years later. But like I said, I started before college because I was only 5. I know, in all honesty, I was in college. Those first couple of years, I was going to take over my dad's dentistry business, which he is still doing most of the week in Buffalo. And I realized a couple years in, I don't think that I can cut into anybody's mouth, pull any teeth, or do anything that involved blood. And I respect people who can do that, doctors, veterinarians, whomever. But I realized I was not that person. So at the same time, I was dating a young man from the area, and he was the youngest of 8, I beg your pardon. And his eldest brother was the chief photographer at WKBW in Buffalo, where I was at school and college at the University of Buffalo, or I beg your pardon, State University of New York at Buffalo, SUNY Buffalo. And with a family that big, every weekend was involved with a birthday party, a graduation, something, big Irish Catholic family. So I kept ending up cornering Ed and the chief photographer from the TV station, and it was the ABC affiliate. And I kept saying, "What were you doing this week? Who did you talk to? Did you interview them for a long time? What did they say? Did you try and ask this?" And he said, "I'm a photographer," but it started to get to the point where I would just seek him out at every family function, and it started to become a natural curiosity. Actually, the natural curiosity was already there. I was just feeding it. And so I realized that was kind of where I wanted to go. I wanted to know what was happening in politics, in news, and weather, and everything. I had an interest in everything that was happening in the community. And so I kind of shifted. I put all the classes that I could into journalism and communication, and I got myself an internship at all three stations there. There were three main stations, ABC, CBS, and NBC. And I actually got busted because I was so intent on learning how each newsroom worked, assuming they all worked generally the same, which they many times do. But I didn't know you couldn't have an internship at all three. At the time, I guess there were no there were no guidelines for that, or if they were, I bypassed them somehow. And I was just intent on learning, what can I take away from each one? And I would do an hour here, an hour there. And one of the news directors said, "Look, we really enjoy having you here, but you got to make a decision." And I'm thinking, what am I going to get top secret news? No, of course not. But wow. I did make a decision, and I stayed at the ABC affiliate where Ed was the chief photographer. And then I became a glorified intern. Anytime there was an opportunity to go get a soundbite where a reporter wasn't available, I would raise my hand and say, "Hey, I'll go." Anytime there was an opportunity to do anything that a reporter couldn't do, I said I would go do it. In fact, and this is
real quick, was this before WXAA?
That was before. I was still in school. I was still in college.
School. Okay, got it. Yeah. Okay.
Still in college. So I had all these internships during college. And then by the end of my internship, I had been producing the medical reporters' stories and setting up stories throughout the week because they had no producer to do it. Sure. That when I tell you the glowing recommendations that I got me my first job right out of college, because I filled a hole basically that was there. They had to hire somebody after I left to be that medical producer. So I tell my students now at DePaul, where I'm an adjunct professor every spring,
I see that.
I tell them, if you can find a hole and fill it. And inevitably, you will get yourself in front of somebody who sees, that's a doer right there. That's somebody who sees a problem and doesn't just say, "Hey, there's a problem." They find a solution. And we're all looking for that, right?
Exactly. So this is like a second nature, that hidden passion.
Apparently so. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, you never thought it would get to this point. So that's an amazing story. And to think you were with these affiliates, and I mean, you were like, "Okay, I'm getting this done." And I'm sure, here's this little Natalie Martinez, they're not going to know,
Right.
But that is fantastic. Wow. I never thought it was going to go this route of this thing.
Never thought.
Going back to the station that I mentioned was WXXA, the first major one for you?
No, I was at the ABC affiliate in Utica, New York.
Okay.
Which is really tiny. I don't know what the market is now, if they even still have a market. I was at the ABC affiliate there, and there was only ABC and NBC, as I recall. And that was my first on-air TV job. But in Buffalo, I got myself a radio job at the sports/news station. So I could do news at the top and bottom of every hour. But funny little anecdotal story there.
Yeah.
I put together a silly tape. I call it silly because I used like my glockenspiel from grade school to make the weather tones. And I made this tape for this radio station. And I thought there is no way in heck that they would even hire me because I had already gotten so many no's. From I had the nerve to send tapes to Philly and everywhere that I had no business sending tapes to. But I said, hey, let them tell me no, right? One of these guys might actually hire me just for sheer perseverance. And the radio station in Buffalo basically did. So it was a great start to do that because I had news at the top and bottom of every hour. I could go into work with a baseball hat. At the time, Jim Kelly and Andre Reed were like huge Bills.
On the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, and I got a little taste of sports and then realized I wanted to do more news, but they were always in there and we were always chit-chatting. I'm like, okay, I gotta go. I'm gonna go produce this. And I'd pop in the booth and it was just so organic that I wish that for all of my students and all of the young people who come into this newsroom, because now I'm an OG.
The way you went about it, like, with the tapes and everything, and, that one door closes, that one door opens, somebody sees you, somebody says, wow, she's this doer who wants this kind of attitude. I mean, here, did you ever think, and I'm jumping ahead here, you're part of the Emmy Awards, Lisgar Awards, Lanquin Awards. I mean, this is an amazing run you've had. Did you ever think you'd get to this level, especially when you get to let's say let's move up to 2001. You get to NBC Chicago. How does Natalie Martinez come to Chicago and work for NBC Tower?
And I don't think I had it in my peripheral, but it wasn't like the goal. The goal was to be in a situation where I could do what I enjoyed doing every day. Now, mind you, some days are a real booger, as they say, right? And you end up, and people have yelled at me, people have shown me the gun, people have spit on me, all those things. But it comes with the territory. So you have to get the thick skin. But did I think that would happen? No. Did I even really care that much? No. I use my Emmys. They're there to remind me, and they're by the TV. But to be honest, it's holding up a family photo book right now. What I do with those Emmys is I take them into my classroom at the beginning of every quarter that I teach. I give them a chance to hold the Emmy because I think that if the students can see it, they can be it. And I tell them that if you can hold it, they're always surprised by the weight of, when I bring one in. And I think being able to, and it sounds cliche, but I honestly mean it, being able to make a difference somehow, or to give a voice to somebody, which is what we do, or find the truth and report it, which is an SBJ code of ethics. I think given that opportunity, the responsibility is huge. It's immense, right? But after all these years, I hope that I'm still doing it right. And I still got a few years under my belt. I'm hoping that I can keep some fire under my butt and keep making it happen. In the interim, I'm teaching others at DePaul on how they can get in here and work right beside me. I just wrote a recommendation for a young lady who is going to try to do a Fulbright program in Wales in the United Kingdom, where I also studied 1 year in college, which was also probably the best, most eye-opening year of my life anyway. And I wish that for all my students too. So hopefully they can experience as much as possible in the short time we have on this earth, relatively speaking, right?
Exactly. But I got to tell you, Natalie, what a motivating thing you do by bringing that Emmy in. I mean, I just look at people sometimes, oh, yeah, I got this award for that. Award is an award. I mean, you work for it, and especially an Emmy. And not only have you had Emmy awards, the Lisgar Award, I think you did that for the
Blagojevich.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
go ahead.
I think there's an importance in paying it forward. I just finished judging Emmys for the Texas region. I'm also involved in judging for other organizations like NATAS and stuff like that, where we can help others, get those same awards. So it's not like I just stop there and want to collect them. It means more to me to be able to see others. Last year, my former student walked away with the student version of Emmys, and I ran off the set, went to the Emmys down the street at the Swiss Hotel, got there just as they were coming off stage because students are first. And there he was. Josh is, on the stage with his student group.
Wow.
And collecting his Crystal Award, which is the student version of the Emmys. That's the award that I think is, you can't put a dollar value or a statuette on that, right?
Exactly.
That feels so good. So I ran out after that, and I think we won an Emmy for. I won an Emmy for my Pope coverage that we had. That my portion, my reporting.
And then you also won a Peabody Award for the Laquan McDonald.
Laquan McDonald.
Yeah,
that was a group effort too.
Again,
everything's a group effort.
Yeah, but again, especially when we say group, or I'll say the word team, everybody's got to be on all cylinders when you're doing this. One thing could, kind of ruin the mix of the reporting. I have to ask you from the incept. Let's go with the NBC or even the other station. From that to now, here's kind of the question. You're going to look at me and say, "Why are you even asking me this? How much has changed in 2026?"
Yes, absolutely. We have training all the time. In fact, I'm looking here. I've got we have writing training. I teach students, how to write tight and great techniques for writing for TV, for digital. But at the same time, we're still getting training. I have an email here. Let me see. I'll be training on Tuesday from somebody just to tighten up your skills. If you aren't learning, then you are probably just remaining stagnant. And in this technology era, you can't do that. You won't grow moss. You will actually wither up and die, right? So we have to appreciate that, many times with my students, for example, I'll tell them, we're going to try and meet you where you are, right? So if you like social media and that's the only thing that you're watching right now, we put our vetted stories, good portions of them, on the social media, NBC Chicago apps, and that works out, and we have millions of views. I just heard the web folks talking about it today. Some stories sometimes it's something as benign as like the rubber duckies that were released into the river. And they got so many views. People love it. People want something good to watch, to read about, and to be part of. And I just got an email now too from a young man who.
Do you want you to leave my show? What was he saying?
No, I'm saying it genuinely means a lot. I'm thinking this could be something you might want to hear about. Anyway, I will tell you that we did a story about a young man who started his own publishing company at 16. He wrote his first book. 17, made his own publishing company, and now in his early 20s is bringing in other young authors so that they can write about things and in a way such that other people their age would like it. It's such a niche focus, and I love it. And he did great, and he was just thanking us for doing that. And
Very
that took
nice.
several pitches, because of course we have breaking news all the time. We have more than 50
for sure.
bodies, as you know. The story, I was on the streets last night. So it's nice to be able to do those stories, and we know that people want to consume that kind of news, and that makes me happy.
Thank you for bringing it up that you still go to learn and these things that you go to. I have to tell you, a lot of my children, of course, who are infringing on 40 years old, will say to me, "What are you doing?" I go, I'm watching the news. It's 10 o'clock at night, or I'm watching 5 o'clock. What are you doing? You're watching the news.
Mhm.
Now I feel now more and more, even with this social media, chat GPT, whatever, AI, you name it, the way a Natalie Martinez presents it becomes very important in this day and age, don't you think? You just can't go in there, oh, good evening, this is Natalie from Channel 5. You have to have that presentation, and that story, even though we've heard about it all day, has to be a little bit riveted and rocketed by you.
Well, yeah, there's a certain energy that each of us brings to, the desk or out in the field when we go there. I happen to know a lot about our lead story all day today because I was out there at 95th and South Escanaba where, the funeral home stands where they are accused of having more than 50 decomposing bodies. So I get to do a little bit of everything. I still have a fire under my butt to try and go out there and ask as many questions as I can in the field. It was sort of just breaking last night. So there was a follow-up with the whole morning team and the morning reporters, and our whole desk was calling people during business hours to get more investigation. Our parish shuts had that kind of angle at the 6 o'clock tonight. But part of what that energy is having a genuine interest in what I do. I'm not here. This is such a small portion. The part on air is this little portion. So especially if I have students who say they want to do this, they want to be an anchor, they just want to be on TV. I said, you might want to go check out an acting class or something like that where you
Right.
can be on more, because this is really there's not much glam unless you're one of the few who's always, inside and, glamming up. But it's more fun to me, and I understand that I'm not, I don't have the conventional attitude that some people do. But to me, it's more fun to be out there and to know what's going on, to talk to people who are making real decisions, choices, moves, whatever it is, and not just read it somewhere, because that's kind of where we are going to. Back to your question about like how tech is changing. A lot of people are relying on tech to not only write their stories, and some of my students do that in their class, or some people do it on air, but the one thing you can't do is you cannot make a human connection. So my job on the anchor desk could be replaced, and is in some countries already, by a robot, right? But nobody can make that connection that I'm making out on the street with the guy Frank yesterday, who told me that he could actually smell, what was going on in that funeral home. I can do all the searches I want, but unless somebody like a reporter who's out on the street goes and does that and makes that connection and tells you this is what it smells like here, or whatever it is, a robot can't do that. So I feel like those jobs are more protected than, and even photographers a little bit more, to capture that image and put it in place. The editing, they might, robots might be able to do more, but even so, like the feeling, robots are emotionless at this point. Right.
I have to tell you, and I don't want to, because I know your time is valuable, but I do want to tell our audience you're very active and recognized in the Latino community. You're a member of the National Association of Hispanic Journalists. Can you touch on that a little bit, because I think that's been a big part of it for you, and you've done very well with that.
And the Ukrainian community, and the community in general, and the Asian American community. But National Association of Hispanic Journalists. I was the local chapter president for, I think, 4 years, right up until I had my daughter in 2018. And then I let my VP take over it. She did so for at least 4 years. I'm still very much involved in the national organization, which we just had our convention in mid-July in New Orleans. It's a place where you can get young people mostly in front of all those news directors that are impossible to reach when you're just, making emails or cold calls. So the convention itself, National Association of Hispanic Journalists, makes networking just add water. you've got all the big players, the hirers and the firers right there. And from just about every market, and not just on TV, obviously, but there are podcasters there. There are people from radio, tons from print and digital. But it's an opportunity for everybody to come together, not just to network. And I can kind of like, pluck some ideas and poach from different networks, for example, because it's kind of linear from LA and New York to us. We all share stuff. Even network is right over here. I give them stuff and vice versa. But also for these, and this is how I got hired as well at NBC anyway. Sure. I was working in Utica, and then I got myself in the door by meeting somebody at the NBC booth. She actually liked my shoes that I had that I was wearing the whole conference. But I also got myself up in line every morning at 8:30 when they opened their doors. And she told me they all noticed that. She said, we noticed that. So that's what I just pass along the information. That's what I tell my students and any interns that we have here. Get yourself out there. Don't be shy. If you are shy, you don't have to open your mouth. Just get yourself physically in front of somebody who's not going to forget you or your name or your intention.
Thank you, because you could be quiet and you can be loud, but you could still have that drive and determination, and people can see that and what you've seen in you. Listen, I'm going to have 5 questions for you because I know your time is valuable this evening. I truly, truly appreciate you coming on here for this segment. Absolutely. There's 5. You answer them any way you want to, and then there's something I got to say about you that you pretty much said in this interview at the end that will be coming from me. Okay. Give me 1 or 2 mentors in your life that you still think about when you're off on one of those days, if you're ever off, or you're having that cup of coffee, you're driving that car to NBC. Who are 2 mentors you say, wow, I thank you for, I listened to them, if it's your parents, whatever.
Well, one was my grandmother, my late grandmother, who took me to all the practices, rehearsals as a child, and then also stood by me in school, but also along with her, my mom, who said, when she saw me growing up without a dad for most of my life, she said, well, if you see that, I'm going to go work my other job. But if you see that and that's what you want, good grades are money in the bank. Good grades are money in the bank. And I got myself a scholarship that helped. And my dad stepped in and helped with that as well. But my mom and my grandma is one. And then also the people at that KBW station who helped me along and wrote those glowing recommendations where I told you I was a glorified intern. And in one, I got $100 check at the end of the semester where I interned there. And it was from one woman in particular, Susan Banks. And I can say her name because I think she's retired since then. But it was like, you might as well have given me $1 million. $1 million. So I went out. Yeah, I went out, and this was in '95, and I bought myself whatever I could to get myself in the door, and I dressed like the job I wanted. Right. And I ended up getting hired at that radio station in Buffalo, which helped.
That was larger than life for you to have that. Large than life.
And in charge.
Thank you for bringing that up. All right. I want my audience to get to know you a little bit better. What's a movie that you could watch 200 times? Give me 1 or 2 that you won't get bored. Like, say you had nothing to do after me tonight. You'd go say, I'm going to go watch this movie. I got nothing to do tonight. I'm bored. What would you watch? Give me 1 or 2.
With my 8-year-old, any Minions movie. Because we do.
Okay. Or I think there's this lady, Miss Rachel, that I've watched with my grandkids. No, but
yeah. I think that would be one of them. And one that always hits home is the Cider House Rules. And for the reason that it breaks and warms my heart at the same time. Check it out. It's based on a book, and it's really good. So check it out. It's about an orphanage.
Okay, very nice, very nice. Okay, good day, bad day. a song that gets you going, or even on the bed that you need that pickup song? What's some of your favorite songs that you like to hear?
Reggaeton,
I'm sorry?
anything dance hall music, or sometimes Bad Bunny. And I listen to it on my earbuds because I don't want my 8-year-old to hear it because I think she can translate some of the Spanish.
Yeah, okay, but bad
He's a
any of the
little
any of
sexy.
the Bad Bunny music, or any when you say dance music, R&B music?
Dance hall, reggaeton.
Reggae.
It's reggae. It's like a Puerto Rican and Dominican kind of
Okay.
dance hall. So dance hall is like a sped up version of reggae.
Okay, very nice, very nice. Okay, I know the answer to this, but we're going to have to change it because
Okay.
I already know the answer. So listen
Oh,
carefully.
okay.
You've interviewed a lot of people. You've been
Yes.
through a lot of processes. I know you want to interview me, but if it had to be somebody else, who would it be? Who would
If
it
I
be? Who would you like to interview that you haven't interviewed yet? I know you wanted to interview me, but who would you interview
That's a really good point.
in the
And we
future?
have had people in the future. We have had people interview him at our station, but I'd like a sit down with the Pope because I have sat down with his brother and he just feels so real to me. He told me how when his brother, the Pope, um, um, had won the election and they saw the white smoke and everything. He said that he came back and had a beer and then the phone started ringing off the hook and he had a pile of mail. His brother, the Pope's brother, had a pile of mail that people were sending to him, hoping to get it, to his brother in Italy. And I just thought to myself, he feels so real to me, and I was this close, but I haven't interviewed him. I think that would be a fascinating interview to really have just all my time with him. How about you?
You want an interview in my
Yeah,
life?
who's your person?
Well, he's gone, but I would have loved to interview because I played hockey my whole life. The great Chicago goaltender Tony Esposito.
Ooh, that's a good
But
one.
and I was close a couple years ago. And then, of course, Mr. Esposito died of pancreatic cancer. But
Yeah,
that was mine. That was mine.
yeah,
Because Natalie, for me, that first impression when I saw him in the old Chicago Stadium was it,
yeah.
it resonated with me. Yeah. Well, thank you for asking. That was very nice of you. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
They-
Well,
yeah.
that's what I do. I couldn't resist.
No, but you know what? Okay, my second one would be Natalie Martinez.
Uh,
No, so Natalie, I got to ask you. So, from almost, I don't know how close it was, and then I'm going to say something, but this is the last question. From almost possibly becoming maybe a dentist, or maybe you
yeah.
would have been a hygienist, to do what you did, to climb that ladder and to be and persevere like you did, to come to Chicago. Here you come to this city that you don't even know, and you've been here now over 25, 26 years, well,
Yeah.
however long it is. If
Yes.
you had to do this all over again, are you doing it the same way?
Same way? No. And the reason I say the reason I say that is because of the why. And that's because if I already knew what I knew now, I would take so many shortcuts and I'd be doing something else, even, hopefully much bigger. Am I happy doing what I'm doing? Yes. But if I had the knowledge that I do now, I expect that I would speed it up just a little faster. But I'm very happy here and doing what I'm doing, and with my DePaul connections and just this community in general. Every time I think maybe I should, make a move, maybe my daughter would like to go somewhere, I think to myself, you know what, but this is a pretty good deal. And people come to me. People came to me today with the problem she was having at the hospital she worked at. And even if I can't help somebody, I probably have a connection or know somebody or an organization that can help them out. And that's what happened today before work.
Well, fantastic, fantastic. All right, here's what I'm going to say about you, and then I'm going to let you go.
Okay.
When you're faced with the task of telling someone a story, I'm always motivated, you said. Getting to work some days, especially after covering horrible stories,
Mm.
it's difficult. But once I'm there and someone needs me, I'm there. That is you in a nutshell, Natalie Martinez. And I want to thank you tonight for coming on a conversation with John Conenna. But we're going to do a part 2. This was fantastic. I love your drive. I love your passion. I didn't think you were this, you know, go get 'em. I thought you were more of the shy type. You had me going here tonight. I love that part of you.
Great. I enjoy your energy and enthusiasm as well. I'll be speaking to you soon.
Okay. We have visited tonight with Natalie Martinez. This will come out on YouTube and Spotify in the coming days. The great NBC Channel 5 here in Chicago reporter. You'll catch this, like I said, in a couple days. And Natalie, thank you and have a good night.
Thank you so much. Have a great weekend as well.
You too. Take care.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.